everyone, to episode 20 of the Minot Business Podcast presented by Bennett Creative Media. I am your host, Easton Bennett, and with us today, we have another exciting guest, Tanya from Tangles. How are you?
Hey, I'm good.
That's how you say it, right? Tangles?
Yeah.
Look at that.
A lot of people like to say TS Tangles. I'm like, it's just T's.
Really?
Just
They're like, we've never seen an apostrophe before. We don't know how to work with that.
Yeah, right.
So for the people that don't know, what is Tangles? What do you guys do?
So we make seasoned pretzels. Originally, I would say we make spicy pretzels, but turns out we have a brand new flavor. So we now make seasoned pretzels.
Okay. And I want to get into the flavor change, not change, but the addition of a new flavor a little bit down the road. But starting with the beginning of the company, when did you start the company? You know, did it start as a side hustle? Was it kind of a full-time thing you dived into? What does that look like?
Well, kind of a little bit of both. I originally started it because all my friends and family were poking and prodding. Come on, Tanya, we want these everywhere. We want to have them at ball games and this and that, whatever. You got to bag them. We need them, blah, blah, blah. So I quit my job.
There you go.
And I was working 3 jobs. I quit one of them.
Okay.
So I kind of took a leap. I took like a half a leap
and
then started it up and it went well. And eventually I was just down to just making pretzels.
So you dipped your toe in the water instead of diving all the way in. So when you started this, why pretzels? Did you have a home recipe that you were working with, or how did that kind of formulate?
Yep. It was actually a recipe that my mom introduced to us. One year for Christmas, she brought these seasoned pretzels to Christmas, and my husband and I loved them and stole them and took them home with us. Nobody could have any. And so we really liked it. We got the recipe from her and we tweaked it a little bit to make it a little bit spicier for ourselves because we like spicy. And Tangles was born. So then I started taking them just to like barbecues and get-togethers with friends, and everyone was all hyped up about it.
Yep.
So in 2013, we just said, let's give it a shot, see what happens.
So the transition period between, hey, I'm stealing this recipe from my mother, and now actually we're going to put it in a bag and sell it, right?
Yep.
How long was that transition period before you were just kind of making them on your own to deciding to, hey, let's try to sell these?
Probably a couple years. I was probably just almost every weekend I was making them, really.
Okay.
Every time we get together with our friends for football, and every weekend I had to bring pretzels. So it was probably a couple years I was making them. And then I just decided, all right, people keep saying that these need to be in the stores. So,
and that's a good hint that it's maybe a good idea, right?
It might work, right? Like, hey, it just might be crazy enough to work.
Yeah. So have you always been business minded then? You know, did you always know, hey, one day I want to start a company?
Not really. No. I mean, kind of in a sense, I guess that's the American dream. Oh, there's my phone ringing. Cool interruption.
Hey, that's all right. It's all natural on the podcast. It's all natural.
I shut my phone off, but not my watch. So
no,
there we go.
All right. I hear you. Oh, I'm missing my watch today.
See, it could have been you.
It could have been you. It usually is, honestly. I wouldn't put it past me.
Yeah.
But from the beginning, so business minded. Were you always business minded? Where was your head at?
I mean, not really. You know, in a sense, you have that. I probably had that in my head all the time. I wanted to, you know, the American dream, run your own business, be your own boss, all those things. But in reality, going to school, I was going into the medical field and a whole different route of life.
Yeah.
And then this happened. So it's just kind of funny where it takes you.
So when you were starting your company, did you have anyone that helped coach you through this, that, you know, kind of like a mentor type thing? Or did you dive in head first? I don't know what I'm doing. What did it look like? A lot
of the I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. There was a lot of that. I have learned a ton in the last decade, roughly. But yeah, I had a few people that I kind of leaned on. A friend of mine, his mom was probably my go-to person for all the actual business questions, if you will. She used to run a business and was part of Pride of Dakota. And so I kind of grabbed onto her and she guided me through some stuff. But being a part of Pride of Dakota is a huge perk as well. Any resource you need, it's there. So
this lady that helped you, why do you think it was important to have her? What are some of the things she helped you get through or, you know, work on?
Probably the biggest thing for me was just like being like, hey, yeah, you can do it. Just write it on paper and just kind of have someone walk you through it. She had all sorts of questions for me. I had questions for her. And it's Cindy Yale, for those who know her.
Shout out Cindy.
She's fantastic. But yeah, she just kind of guided me through like how to get this started, that started, packaging, purchasing your product, all the things. There's so many things to worry about when you're first starting.
Was she in that world? Had she worked with, food and beverage companies before?
Yes, she had a candy business
Gotcha.
out of Burlington. But she's retired now, so she's not in it anymore. But Mikey's Country Candy was her company.
Okay.
Many moons ago, she sold it. But yeah, so she was my knowledge gal. She knew it all. She had been down that road for 20 some years probably or better,
So at the beginning of your company, what's it like being a jack of all trades? Because I know, but for the people that are out there thinking about starting a business, or they're in the beginning stages of their business and they're not sure if they're experiencing the same things that other people experienced, what was your experience being a jack of all trades in the beginning?
Well, it's terrifying. So when you're scared, it's okay. Everybody's scared.
Yeah.
Starting a business is terrifying, and it doesn't get any less scary, really. I mean, you just have to keep grinding. You'll run into every hurdle that you can possibly think of. You just have to keep climbing. There's been plenty of times over the years too, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if we're going to make this happen. It's not looking good. Something is just scaring you, Yeah, you make it through.
So going back, I want to go back to the beginning of the business a little bit. What did the process look like for making these pretzels? Were you in just your kitchen at your house, or how did that look?
When I was doing them on my own, yes. But when I started them, so I used to work up at the Grand International.
Okay.
I managed in the bar in there, and they were awesome and offered their kitchen for me to use when I was first starting. So I was incredibly lucky to be able to not have to have that cost. Really, when I started, I was able to really just buy some product and get rolling with it and see what happens, test the waters before I had to invest a bunch of money or build a kitchen or all of that.
Yeah.
So really a lot of the big scares were taken away from me because of them.
Yeah.
So for about a year or so, I used their kitchen, hauled my stuff back and forth, and real big pain in the butt, but such a blessing too, right? Yeah. But such a blessing because I didn't have to put 50 grand into some
and that's
to turn it into a kitchen.
And that's what I'm wondering about selfishly is I have a couple clients that are in the food and beverage industry, but I'm always curious to know, what is the upfront cost like for starting something like that? Because you obviously had that place to make your product.
Yeah.
Is that something where people just build, buy a kitchen or build out a kitchen?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people transform one of those train cars.
Okay.
Into a commercial kitchen, or a semi trailer into a commercial kitchen. Cause it's just insane to buy property. Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, get creative.
I was going to say, commercial property. I mean, I was looking at that when I was starting my business, and I have a home studio obviously, but I was like, this commercial property is kind of ridiculous.
It's insane. Yeah. It's really insane. And so after we were at the Grand, we decided, all right, it's working. So let's put a little money into it and get me into my own space. So we actually transformed in our old house, our basement, into a commercial kitchen. Okay. So that was our next leap, which was fairly inexpensive. I don't know.
And how long after you had been working out of the Grand did that happen?
Probably a year and a half.
Okay.
That we decided to make that move.
So it was a year and a half, trial run. And then you're like, damn, we're kind of good at this.
It's working. Yeah, it's working.
And then you ran with it. So are there a lot of the food and beverage industry? I'm sure there's a lot of regulations and stuff like that.
Yes.
What does that look like in the beginning and learning that process? Did you know about any of that stuff?
No, it's terrifying. Everything down to printing a label. There's rules on how large the print has to be, if you could even imagine. It's crazy. Everything has a rule that is printed on a bag or a food product. There's a rule and a reason for all of it. Placement. It's a lot to learn.
So were there any nightmare stories in the beginning when you were printing or you were first creating your packaging and then they kind of give you a slap on the wrist saying you can't do that?
No, not really. I mean, we've learned things that we've slapped ourselves on the wrist over.
Okay.
Just deciding the packaging that's right for your product it's a hurdle, and there's a lot of options.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That was actually pivoting to my next question. How did you go about the packaging?
It's a nightmare. Packaging is really challenging. Anybody in the food world will tell you packaging is probably one of your biggest hurdles. It's incredibly expensive, and that's what I was going to ask. Large quantities are required. So you have to be really ready to make that leap.
Is that the main thing, is that it's expensive, or is it just the decision fatigue of how many options are out there?
Probably that it's expensive. Okay. And there is lots of decisions, so many different kinds of bags and materials and, imagine how many plastics there are.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? There's like a gazillion kinds of plastic.
I thought there was only one.
No, there's not. There's lots.
Just from watching Breaking Bad when they dissolve all the bodies in that plastic tub.
Yeah.
That must be the only.
Such good plastic.
Yeah, that's one of the best plastics. So going in and figuring out this packaging route, do you have to order that in bulk, or how does that process work for the people that are wondering?
We do bulk. That was, you have to kind of wait till you get to that level to be able to do that, because you can save a lot of money ordering in bulk, but you got to front a lot of money. So there's that. You just got to find the right time for you to make that decision. But initially we weren't ordering in bulk. We started small. We would order 100 bags, and then we would order 500 bags.
But I suppose the demand has to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. As you grow, you hear things from your fellow, business entrepreneurs that will tell you like, hey, this is who we checked out.
Yep.
Check out this company. Lots of good chit chat amongst fellow people.
So the design process of the bag, that was the one thing. Cause the first time I ever had your product was, I was at a golf course. And I want to say it's the Air Force Base. Are you guys at the Air Force Base, or was it the Varden? It was one of the two.
Well, they're at the Varden and they're at the Minot Country Club. I'm not sure about the Air Force Base, but we have distributors that do all that.
Okay,
for us,
gotcha. So that's the first. And I saw the bag and someone said, have you tried their spicy pretzels? I was like, spicy pretzels. Yeah. And I tried them. I was like, oh my God, these are unreal. And then I was looking at the bag because being business minded, I always look at things and think, oh, I wonder how they made this or that kind of thing. Come from? Yeah. So the design process, how did that work? Do you guys come up with the design? Do you have a team that kind of works on that?
I have a graphic designer. It's actually my brother-in-law. Again, another area that I'm super blessed in. He is incredibly talented and just so creative. Yeah. So he kind of takes all of my ideas and runs with them, and he'll throw me a few ideas and I pick.
Yeah. You got the easy job, right?
Yeah. He does all the hard work. I just am like, hey, I'm starting this pretzel company. I want a pretzel girl holding a pepper with Google eyes. Yeah. That's all I had. And then he created the rest.
So when you are deciding these things, is it difficult for you to pick one or the other, or did you kind of know right away that's the look
really.
I want?
I kind of had it in my head, and you go through your discussion process. So he was very much in my head.
Yeah.
So there was just like little tweaks like, oh, do you want her to have black shoes or red shoes? Yeah. Or, little things like that. But
because that's what I created my own logo. So it's always cute. The first logo I created, and then I had someone when I was playing hockey up in Canada created the other one, and he knew right away. So I'm always wondering how many renditions of other people's logos do they go through? Yeah.
It's funny. I just probably a month ago came across this little piece of scrap paper. It's like literally a sticky note.
Okay.
And it's like the day that him and I were sitting across the table and I'm telling him what's in my head and he's like hand drawing it. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's just like hand sketch. Yeah. I couldn't even dream of drawing, first of all, because for him, a hand sketch is like pretty legit.
Yeah. You're like, wow, how'd you do that?
Yeah. I was like, well, yeah, that's like pretty much what's in my head. You did a great job, and I found it the other day. So I have it like hanging on my pegboard now. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is where it started.
Just a little reminder. No, that's cool. Yeah. So what do you think the importance of having a network of people that know how to do different skills? What do you think the importance of that is?
It's hugely beneficial. That's for sure. But also the network is there. You just have to find who works well for you. Yeah. There's plenty of graphic designers out there, but I'm just super blessed that I have a brother-in-law who does it for me.
Yeah. And it's nice I think what I always say about, there's plenty of people that do the same service. You have to just find people that you enjoy working with.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times you're going to get not the same product, but relatively the same.
Yeah.
And it's just, okay, do I want to be around this person?
Yeah, there's a lot of that for sure. I don't want to be hanging out with somebody for hours designing something if I can't stand people.
Exactly.
That's not very nice to say, but
well, it's like, God, true. You're great at logos, but man, I can't sit in this room.
Tough. Yeah.
I can't sit in this room with you.
Yeah.
So when you started, did you have any imposter syndrome thinking I shouldn't be running a business? Why am I doing this?
Yeah, I think I probably still have that a little bit. I feel like if you don't have a little bit of doubt in yourself, you're probably a little too confident.
Yeah. You need to tone her down.
Yeah, bring her down a notch. Yeah. I think everybody feels that way every now and then. Just like the confidence level, you gotta keep your head up.
Yeah.
You know?
So for those wanting to start their own food or beverage company, what would you recommend to get through the hurdles in the beginning?
Oh gosh.
Let's say right now I'm like, hey, I want to make a banana bread company.
I would tell you, do all your research on all of your ingredients before you jump, because right now the supply chain is nuts.
Oh,
That's
I suppose,
what I would tell you. It's really hard to get product right now.
So is that something where, because one of the clients I have, he was telling me the story about how he was starting, and he said the original recipe, they had these ingredients, and then eventually they had to switch a couple of them because not specifically those issues, but hey, it's just not practical to get what we were originally using.
Sure. I mean, it could be price. It could be just not being able to get it in general. Like the supply chain is truly insane right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're waiting weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks for things that we should be waiting like 4 days for, you know? So there is definitely that hurdle, but cost and that all changes as well. And you just have to, you're constantly looking at that stuff and researching it and making sure you can still keep moving, you know? And
I can't even imagine how much product you actually have to buy, like all the ingredients and everything. Because this is the guy I'm talking about runs a barbecue sauce company.
Sure.
And I'm filming him making it. And I was like, good Lord, you're like Costco. You're Costco's #1 customer.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Costco loves us too.
Yeah. So before we chat about any more questions, we are going to talk about our sponsor for this episode. Midco is sponsoring this episode, and super excited because I am a Midco user myself. That's what I use for my business. And, you know, I have the best internet possible and gets the job done at the end of the day. So is your business moving up into the right? Put Midco's business technology to work for you, so you never have a slow day at the office. From premium internet and phone plans to custom private networking and advertising, they have a solution for every type of business, large or small. Get paired with an account representative to create your suite of services and make the switch with ease with dedicated business client fulfillment and support teams. No data caps, flexible contracts with month-to-month or long-term options, built-in DDoS protection, and more. Explore services and request a free consultation at midco.com/business today. But yeah, if you guys are looking to get some internet for your business, if you're starting out, check out Midco. I know they're running promotional stuff all the time to get cheaper internet and, you know, all their services in the beginning, and then kind of just test out their services. So thank you to Midco for sponsoring this episode. But Tanya, let's get back into the questions a little bit. How did you go about getting your first sales?
I called my friend who owned a bar.
Okay. And he said, give me the bar. Is this the Spot?
No, it was the original.
Does the Spot have
Tangles?
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Okay, I was going to say, I swear I've seen them at the Spot too.
Yeah, a lot of the bars in town, most of the bars in town carry them.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, my friend owns the original.
Adam?
Yes.
There you go.
Adam's my homie.
Kegs and eggs this last weekend. It was a good time.
It was a great time. Sunday wasn't as fun, but that's okay.
Sunday I was hurt.
Were you there?
Bit. I was there, yes.
You were? I didn't see you.
That was after Friday.
I was actually there with your family.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I was in probably the worst mood I've ever been in for Kegs and Eggs because I'd hit a deer the night before.
Oh, that's right. You said that.
As we talked about before on the show. So yeah, but you know, we had a good day on Saturday.
It was a lot of fun. Such a good turnout.
Yes.
I had a blast.
So you called your friends and you said, let me get into the bar. Is that how that worked?
Yeah. I mean, he knew we were doing it, obviously, but he was my first customer. Okay, Adam, I'm ready. They're all ready. And he said, okay, I'll take an order.
So
Cha-ching, for sale. No.
Yeah. You're like, this is easy.
This is easy.
Yeah. So then how did you transition into more bars? Did you kind of just reach out?
I went banging on doors.
Okay.
Yep. I took bags of samples and I went banging on every door possible.
Yeah.
In Minot. Pretty much. All the bars, liquor stores, things like that. Left samples for owners. And then they eventually started calling me back and we started getting them in more and more locations. And yeah.
So was it in the beginning, did you have a direct to consumer method where you could sell to the public? Like if I wanted to go buy 10 bags, or was your first initiative to go to these businesses?
I think at that time, that's so long ago to even really wrap my head around it. But at that time I had it in my head, like every liquor store and bar needs to have these, you know, they go great with beer. Let's be honest.
Oh, they do. Then you eat a lot of them and you're like, I need to drink more beer. And now it's like, now I need to eat.
Now I need a snack. Yeah. So they go really well together.
Yes.
So that was like my initial, you know, get them into bars. And that it's just going to start spreading. And it did, like people start talking about it. They're drinking with their friends and they're, oh, try these. I tried them last night. How that goes. So yeah, that was our first. And then started with grocery stores. And eventually I had to get distributors because I just didn't have time to be doing that anymore.
Yeah.
Between, knocking on doors and doing the deliveries, it just ended up being too much.
And I think that comes back to having a good product. At the end of the day, if you have a good product, whether it's a food or beverage or service or, a piece of clothing or whatever it might be, if you have a good product, people are going to talk about it and it almost sells itself to an extent.
Absolutely. I mean, word of mouth is, I don't know if there's a statistic on that, but somebody should make it.
Yeah. Get a spreadsheet.
Word of mouth is like where it's at for building a business.
And I think people overlook that. People always start and they're like, I'm going to run all these Facebook ads and I'm going to do all these hacks and everything.
I mean, I'll be honest. I am terrible at social media. Yeah. I really should be better about it. I take a lot of crap from certain people in my life that you should be better at that. I know I should. I know that's where our world is, but I'm just not, I don't do it very often.
Yeah.
I should be better, but.
Well, this is your kick in the butt to do better at social media right here.
Yes.
So I want to talk about Pride of Dakota a little bit.
Yes.
How did you become a member? Why did you decide to become a member?
Well, I decided to become a member because of Cindy Yale.
Okay. And actually let's start from the beginning actually a little bit. What is Pride of Dakota?
So Pride of Dakota is Department of Agriculture.
Okay.
It's just like a branch of them. It's their, I don't know what you call it, company, I guess.
Yeah.
Your company within a company. And they just focus on businesses created in North Dakota.
Okay.
It's very inexpensive to be a member. I want to say it's $100 a year. Don't quote me. That could be off a little bit, but I think it's $100 a year. And you get access to all the shows that they do throughout the year, which in itself is a huge perk. They draw so many people, and the advertising that you get off these shows is next to none.
And these are like vendor shows where you set up a booth.
Shows. Like the Pride of Dakota show, for holiday showcase in Minot, Bismarck, Fargo, Grand Forks. They're all just incredible shows. They have such a wonderful following. Pride of Dakota has been around for 40 some years. I should probably have got some details for you about this.
That's all right. But I threw you under the bus here. Just give me the information.
But anyways, it's just like a great organization. They have so many resources for you to help build your business. If you have questions on, say, packaging, like we talked about earlier, they have people that can direct you in the right way, or so many people within Pride of Dakota that they'll find the answer for you. Someone has done that challenge that you're looking for.
So is it like a team of people that's pretty much available for questions? Is that kind of what it is? And then they host these events?
Yeah. They have a whole team that runs like these shows and in the Department of Agriculture.
Gotcha.
A whole team of people that
and
have their own specialty, if you will.
Is it strictly because you see all these products, like I think Dot's Pretzels was Pride of Dakota, right?
Yeah.
And you see these products and they have their label on them and everything. Is it just food and beverage industries?
No.
Okay.
No, anybody. I mean, you can, any business, and you guys could be.
There we go.
Yeah, you can be part of Pride of Dakota.
Maybe I should join and go set up a vendor booth. I don't know what I do.
You could just like chat with people and have a live podcast all day at the show.
We'll just do this podcast.
You can walk around and talk to all the vendors and be like, oh, look, Tangles is here. Come have a snack.
Yeah. I'll walk around and promote you with the microphone.
Promote us with your microphone. Yeah.
I could walk around and just say, hey, come on my podcast. $100 a year to just go solicit people to come on the podcast. So why do you think you decided to join? Why was it important for your growth? What was the decision-making process? Did you have to think, should I join? Or was it just kind of, hey, I'm going to do it?
There was no should I. I mean, Cindy kind of pointed me in that direction because she had been a part of the program for many years. You look at it and there's no reason to not. It is only beneficial to you.
Yeah.
And it's so inexpensive. For $100 a year, if you do one show, you're making your money back, and you'll make your money back just in the connections that you'll make off of Pride of Dakota. Other people that own businesses that are a part of it, they've become friends that I will have for the rest of my life. You know, like really, it's like a family. They're really great. Everyone's there to help and support, and
it's cheaper than Netflix too.
It's cheaper than Netflix. Yeah.
That should be Pride of Dakota's slogan.
That should be their slogan.
Pride of Dakota. We're cheaper than Netflix.
Cheaper than Netflix. Get off the couch and start a business.
No, exactly. So pivoting a little bit now, actually one more question before we pivot. So these vendor shows, booths, why are events important like this for a business specific to, kind of what you're doing?
Exposure. I mean, the exposure for these events is next to none.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just a quick example, the Bismarck Pride of Dakota show, on average, roughly pulls 14,000 people.
Oh, dang.
That's a lot of people that see you in 2 days.
So I suppose these are open to the public then, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. They're free of charge to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Usually we have a sponsor. Now, don't quote me if that's happening this year, but in years past, it's cheap to get into or free to get into the event because a sponsor, usually like Bank of North Dakota or somebody, sponsors all admissions. For the last few years, that's been a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's free to come support local vendors. And
so then I'm kind of trying to lead a line of questions here for someone that's maybe just starting a food company and
Mm-hmm.
they don't know what to expect for their first show. Do people come? Do you have free samples for them to try and then you can sell product, or how does that work?
Yep, we do. You do not have to sample. Some people with food companies don't. They choose not to. If you want my opinion, I think you're very silly to not do that because you will hands down sell more product if you sample your product.
And if they try and they're like, oh shit, I need a bag of this.
Yeah. I mean, how many times are you going to pass a spicy pretzel booth and just look at it and not buy it? Like,
you're like, man, I've been waiting for a spicy pretzel.
Yeah. Like who's ever been like,
I've been walking around all day. Where is the spicy pretzels?
This would be a thing one day. Right. No. So yeah, I mean, if we're not sampling it, we're not selling it. Like it's just how it works. You know? So
pivoting
sample.
a little bit, do you have any nightmare business stories where it's like, oh, this could have went bad, or I wasn't sure how to work around this?
Honestly, probably, I know we've kind of touched on it already, but supply is the biggest nightmare. We have had a lot of hurdles, especially since the pandemic. I mean, really, I should just say since the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask. Was it always like
before.
that? Okay.
No. Sorry. No, it was not an issue before. Definitely pandemic. It's really changed business for a lot of people over the last couple of years. So
put a wrench into the business plan.
Oof. Yes, it sure did. But
so
we're getting there.
Yeah, exactly. And moving on with your business plan, you started with the one flavor.
Yeah.
Now I creeped on your Facebook a little bit. You have a new one. Are those the only two you have?
Yes. So spicy is our original, and then the toasted brown sugar and cinnamon is our new one.
Gotcha. So how did you go about branching off into that new flavor?
Well, we actually had a different flavor in mind initially. And some people are a little sad that it's not there, but that's okay. Eventually that one will be there too.
Okay.
But I just kind of made this one on a whim. It was kind of what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I chose what I wanted to do.
Yeah. And you're like, it's my company.
It's my company. And this is the flavor I want to make right now. So, but no, we had like awesome feedback from it. So I decided to do this one first, and the next one hopefully is coming soon, but I'm not going to promise a date yet because I just don't know what the change.
It's better to not promise things than to say, hey, it's going to be here and then it's not.
Yes.
So have you gotten good feedback from the new flavor then?
Yes. Okay. It's been awesome. We've only had them at one show out in Little Falls, Minnesota. Feedback was fantastic. And then just, selling to distributors and people around town. And we've just had great feedback. So
is Tease Tangles only in North Dakota, or is it Midwest, nationwide? Worldwide?
Midwest.
Okay.
Gosh, wouldn't that be cool?
Worldwide, like Pitbull? Mr. Worldwide?
So we have some distributors that go a little bit into South Dakota, Minnesota. And then we do have some places that we ship to directly in like Montana and Minnesota as well, and South Dakota and kind of everywhere. Montana, I said that. But,
yeah. Okay. And then is the goal, I assume, just to expand?
Yeah. Well, actually, we did just start with a new distributor out in Nebraska. So they are doing a whole new region for us. So we're kind of still learning all of that. It's brand new.
Is it exciting though?
It's very exciting. It's very scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, exciting. They just got their first orders. So we're excited to see where that goes.
So when you started this company originally, did you ever think like, hey, my product is going to be in tens of states all over the United States?
Well, no, but like whoever looks at a company and says, build a company out of pretzels.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's kind of bizarre. Yeah. Whoever thinks that's going to work. Well, it works.
Isn't that crazy? You can build a company out of pretty much anything.
Yeah.
And it's just like, hey, I'm going to make some pretzels. And we're gonna make
take the leap, people. Take the leap.
So are there any processes or strategies that you've implemented to make the business run more effectively? Were there any hurdles you ran into or like, hey, we got to make this change, whether it be our process or whatever it might be?
Yeah. I mean, throughout the years, machinery. That's the biggest one. We started, I mean, I'm a one-man show.
Yep.
So I do everything. I make them, I package them, I ship them. I do it all. Now I have like some machines that do some of the stirring for me and tumbling and different things that make it a lot easier for my old body. So,
like we're upgrading people.
It's a lot of work for this old gal.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job, honestly.
Well,
you wouldn't even be able to tell that it was a machine compared to you just in there like.
Yeah. We got some machines now, and that is wonderful.
There you go.
My advice to you is buy the machines right away. Right? Buy them right away.
Invest in your business.
Yes.
So why do you think it's important to have a community that supports a business like yours?
Well, if your community doesn't support you, you're probably not going to grow real fast.
Yeah.
It's important to be involved in your community too, and let people, see your face. They have to know that this is a local product, and that in itself will sell it.
I think people like local.
They do. Absolutely. They want to support local. And I'll tell you this. So I do a ton of vendor shows, right?
Okay.
And Pride of Dakota, we'll just come back to that a little bit. Those shows are just on a whole different level. It's just a whole different level because people want to know that they're supporting local.
Okay.
So it's just really important to like be present in your community. People want to support you. They want to support local. So be present and let them know who you are and what you're doing.
And I always say that if you give to your community's hopefully
will give back
to you, unless you're just like a horrible person or something, or you 3 counts of murder. They're like, okay, let's not buy their pretzels.
We're going to pass on that one.
Yeah. So only a couple more questions here for you.
Okay.
What are your best and worst forms of marketing? I know you mentioned social media. You struggle with that a little bit.
That's my worst. My best. I don't even know. I really don't do a ton of marketing.
Word of mouth.
I'm going to go with word of mouth. Yeah.
Hey, that's a fantastic form of marketing.
It really
honestly.
is. Yeah.
And it's just, as long as people are talking about you, that gets the job done.
Yeah.
What do you personally enjoy about the business process? So not specifically actually making the product, but the business process, growing the company.
Sure. I love being my own boss. I get to decide when I'm working and when I'm playing. So that's the hugest perk.
And
it makes family life, you can just like plan whatever you want because no one can tell me I can't.
In the beginning, did you originally know that like, hey, this is available, or did it kind of transition into, wow, I have so much more freedom this way?
I mean, I was hoping for that.
Yeah.
That's what you're hoping for. But you just have way more freedom. It's
at the beginning, were you just working nonstop?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
because I know a lot of people.
And for me, it is that way, but I'm a seasonal worker in a sense. So like I do a ton at this time of the year. I am like crazy busy. And then like I take it pretty chill in the summers. I don't do shows and I like to camp. So,
Yeah, let's go to the lake. Let's do this.
So I'm like, get the camper out. We're going to have a little fun.
And that's the part, if anything from this podcast, people listening wanting to start a business, there are so many benefits.
Many benefits.
And at the beginning, it's going to be difficult. I know.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Don't ever think it's like some easy chore. It's just not. And it's never over.
Never.
It's never over.
Literally never. And
you are the only one that's going to get that chore done. It falls on you no matter what it is. So.
And even if you think, man, I'm in a good spot here, I can relax. Next day, something happens. You're like, okay, I guess we're back to.
It'll keep you on your toes. That's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So a couple more here. Mount Rushmore of business advice. If you had to give 4 pieces of advice, what would it be?
Oh my gosh.
Putting you on the spot.
Never
here.
Stop climbing.
It's like that Miley Cyrus song, The Climb.
Is that a song?
It's a climb. Yeah. It's one of my favorites.
I don't think I know it.
Used to be. I used to listen to it in Canada.
Adam would be so disappointed in me. I'm terrible with music. Never stop fighting. That's like the biggest one.
Okay.
Like we were just saying, whenever you think it's, cake, I got this. You don't. You don't have it. You don't have it in the bag. Just keep your head up. And
I'd 100% agree.
Oh my gosh, 4 of them?
Yeah, I need 3 more from you. I know this is the hard part of the show. I usually leave the hard part till the end. And they don't have to be crazy pieces of advice. Maybe just reassuring pieces of advice for people that are like, hey, I'm going to
use your resources. That's a big one too. And I forget this one. Like Pride of Dakota, huge resource. But your friends, like, I mean, being a business owner is like so popular, right? Everyone wants to do it.
Yeah, they don't want to be athletes anymore. They want, hey, I want to run my own business. I want to be an entrepreneur.
But you utilize those people in your world who have been down that road. Ask questions. Ask so many questions.
Yeah.
You know, get your answers before you jump.
And at the beginning,
prepare yourself.
I knew at the beginning of my business, I almost wanted to be selfish and like, I can figure all this out myself.
I think I felt that way too. Like I just have to like read. I'm not an idiot.
Yeah.
Right?
And then you're
expedite
not an idiot.
it. Don't think you're an idiot, but utilize your resources.
Yeah. It expedites the process so much quicker.
It does. It does. Ask questions. You know what it reminds me of? Guys that won't ask directions. Just ask for the directions.
Yeah. It's like, no, I'll figure it out. I'm sure it's down this road somewhere.
Ask. People want to help you. And, you know, and I found that with like fellow Preda Dakota people. They want to help you. They want their knowledge to be spread around and they want you to be successful. So ask.
Well, they want to see you succeed too.
They do. Yeah. Yep. Use your family and friends. They are a wealth of knowledge.
All right. You got 2 more for me?
Oh my gosh.
Maybe something food related.
Well, food related, there's a lot of rules. So educate yourself.
Okay. So we'll leave it at that. Educate yourself.
Educate yourself.
Number 4.
And research your packaging before you make a decision on your packaging.
Okay.
Research it and all the aspects of it.
Did you make that mistake?
I did.
And then you're just like, oh shit.
Yeah. So our very first bag that we used was a see-through bag, and we just put a label on it, right? Just a sticker or whatever.
Okay. You know, like a jerky bag type thing?
Yeah, it was more of like a pinch and pull bag.
Okay.
Like a bag.
Gotcha.
Like a chip bag, right?
Yep,
like that's what I had in my head. Mm-hmm. So we found the bag, and well, it turns out in North Dakota, those bags crack when they're cold.
Oh, that's exciting.
Research your packaging.
There you go. So if you're starting a food company in North Dakota, don't get that bag.
Don't get the bag, the kind of plastic that will crack when it's cold.
Yes.
You will be making quick changes.
Last question I got for you. What is your North Star? What do you expect here in the future for Tees Tangles?
I expect some large growth with our new distribution that we're doing, and I expect a new flavor in 2023.
2023, new flavor. Everyone look out for that. T, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I call you T? I guess.
Yes. Listen, that's my nickname.
Is it?
Tees Tangles. That's how it all started. My best friend came up with the name.
I love
Tees Tangles.
Thank you very much for coming on the show. Where can people find you? I'm going to link all these, we're on
below, Facebook, teestangles.com, Facebook, and email.
Perfect.
teestangles@gmail.com.
Cool. We'll put that down in the description below. Thank you guys for watching or listening to episode 20 of the Minot Business Podcast. If you liked it, share with a friend. Go try some Tees Tangles. They are unbelievable. Yeah. I will vouch for that. I'm not even just saying that because you're on the show. We really should have brought the
bag in here and like showed everybody the bag.
We'll take a quick video after this and we'll kind of show the bag and I'll put it at the end of the episode. Does that work?
Yeah, that's great.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys next week for episode 21 of the Minot Business Podcast.